All right, this is One Last Midnight. Come back to you with another Astroneer video. So yesterday they did the live stream. It was mainly about the performance update that's coming out. And I say they, it was Sam and Joe basically the entire time. Gene was in a little bit in the beginning of the video, but I thought I'd kind of break down what they were saying. For those of you who don't want to watch the hour video, I will have a link in the description below just in case you do want to watch the hour video. But they are talking about fixes for the new update, mainly referring around performance, right? So all of it's about performance. The next update, big performance update. We're finally going to get some frame rates back and everything else. So some of the achievements have been fixed for those of you guys that have not gotten their achievements. So they're saying that some of the achievements are going to be fixed. The next update will be coming out. So they said that they were in the certification stage, and hopefully it's going to be coming out tomorrow, which is 3/8, which is Friday. If not, then probably early next week, right? So that's when the update is going to be coming out. Gene talked a little bit about in the beginning that for those of you fans that are doing emotes, Gene's, I believe he's an animator, modeler kind of guy. He's working on new emotes. So I don't know when they're coming out. There was kind of just, they're something that they're working on. Sam and Joe both acknowledged the fact that there was performance problems prior to release. They were aware of it. The company was aware of it, System-Era as a whole. But, they had obligations to meet. And so they wound up releasing. But they've been actively working on fixing those problems ever since the release. They're finally coming some of that is coming to fruition. Now, performance is going to be released in phases, right? So this is phase 1. They hired a new engineer prior to the release of 1.0 who's a performance guru, and he's found a bunch of problems. The servers, they said, were after performance. So it's the next big update after performance. They acknowledge that tethers have been a problem and always have worked a little bit wonky. That's something that they're working on fixing. And there is something in this next release for tethers. So we're going to see a change to tethers. Hopefully we see some performance fixes for tethers. And there's also a fundamental change to, they didn't get too deep into it, but there's a fundamental change to tethers. So we'll look into that as soon as this release comes out. Hosting a game in multiplayer. They said, there's a question of will the performance be better in multiplayer? And they said yes. So any performance fix that they do throughout the entire game is going to help the host. We're going to see the multiplayer games have more frame rates, because that was a big problem, right? So as we're playing multiplayers, if I'm hosting it, man, towards hour number 2, the frame rate just goes way down. And it doesn't matter if I reduce my graphics or anything else. It bottoms out to a good solid 8 to 12 frames a second. Then I got a pretty beefy machine, and it's still kind of just that's not a technical term. It's just, that's what it is. Here's something that's interesting. So Epic, as a company, they put out Fortnite. They also use the Unreal Engine. And because Fortnite is such a huge multiplayer game, it's kind of forced Unreal to make some changes to the way that they negotiate the multiplayer experience. And so with this, Unreal has actually responded to Fortnite or Epic's request, and they put some performance increases into the Unreal Engine that is actually, beneficial to everybody who uses the Unreal Engine. Of course, Astroneer uses the Unreal Engine. So they're winding up picking up some of these multiplayer performance increases that was actually initially put in there for Epic's Fortnite. So that's kind of interesting. They said that is still in the works. That's not something that's been fully tested yet, but that's going to be coming out and rolling out soon. Soon is whenever they get it out. But I thought that was kind of fascinating. That was kind of interesting to hear that a game has made such a huge impact on an engine that the engine is responding enough to be able to move this along. So I thought that was pretty cool. They have decreased the memory footprint. So especially for people on Xbox, and so on part of the performance, they're reducing the memory footprint. So some of these larger test files that they work with that people have sent them that couldn't even load up on an Xbox are now able to load up on an Xbox, which is fantastic. That means the Xbox guys are getting a lot of love, and they said the Xbox is getting a lot of love. So there's been some changes to the roadmap. So if you go back and you look at the roadmap, there's some things that have moved around. There's some new items on the future implementations of stuff. There's no guarantee that anything on that list is going to come out. The Exodynamics personal mobility object, it's kind of interesting. There was a comment about shoes, and Sam's expression was like, To me, it was like, oops, you just gave something away. So maybe it's shoes. I don't know. Rocket boots or something like that. I have no idea. Yeah, again, changes. They got into the tether system again. The changes to the tether system. And as part of the performance fix, that new tether update will not break old saves. Your old tethers are going to remain there. They're still going to be there. But there is a functionality difference in the tethers. That was kind of interesting to see. That's somewhere around 50 minutes, 60 minutes into the video. So, this next performance update is really going to help out the low end system, guys. They're going to see some changes and you're going to get some frames back and hopefully the game becomes more playable for you. The tone of the conversation kind of changed to something that was more of, hints to the future. People were asking questions left and right. Somebody made a suggestion. I would love to see the ability to auto tether, which, is something I've been asking for 2 years now. There was a hint to that. There's maybe an object that can be created in the future that could help with auto tether placement. Again, it was stated in a way that it's just something that they're looking at. It might never, ever get implemented. They were talking about using existing items and existing systems to be able to spin up a lot more content. So hopefully that we're going to start seeing that coming out after they get done with performance and stuff. Server is, and I think I said this already, but server is the next huge update after performance. So their server, multiplayer, all that stuff is really, really a huge focus after they get done with the performance updates. They talked about lighting, and lighting has been a big thing with me. I did the caves video, and the caves are gorgeous. I would love to see more involved, more lighting in the caves so you can light up the caves. And there was some issue. Sam said that they're throwing around some ideas with lights, and there's consideration that has to be put on performance, because if somebody drops 1,000 lights in one area, they don't want to crash the machine. But then Joe makes this statement. And I love Joe, but I don't agree with this statement at all. Somebody asked headlights for rovers, and Joe said, well, just put 2 work lights on the front of your vehicle and boom, you've got headlights. That's not entirely accurate. The current light system, the work light system, is a point light, which means think of it as a light bulb. It's a light bulb, and then you have a radius around that light bulb, where a headlight is actually more of a spotlight. It's a beam light that goes out, right? So think of the light on top of the Astroneer's head that beams out. And if you are inside of the caves and you're pointing your cursor off into the distance, you can see that beam light travels pretty far. I think what we're talking about, Joe, is that we would like to see more or some sort of spotlight. You've given us a point light, which is equivalent to a lamp, a light bulb and a lamp. But I would really like to see a spotlight that can be placed down so that I can light up specific areas of a base if I decide to do a cave base. He was saying, boom, problem solved. No, not boom, problem solved. Boom, workaround solved or Band-Aid solved, but that's not really what a headlight is. A headlight is a spotlight, bud. So they were talking, Sam was talking about the compass, or somebody brought up the compass, and they were talking about, yes, compass improvements are coming out, possibly in the future. Again, there's another possibly. There's a lot of possibilities that were said in this live stream. So, that's something that they've been aware of for a long time. It's something as players we've been aware of for a long time that we would like some, maybe, I'd love a heads-up compass or something like that, or something I could toggle on and off, a vehicle compass, so on and so forth. I need to be able to move and keep my compass active so I can kind of, gauge where I went and how I went. Joe brought up the crane, and how the crane is, not as useful as it once was. In the past, the crane was used to dig through hard rock. Now there's different mechanisms to dig through hard rock. And the crane seems to be kind of, one of those items that's left off to the side that doesn't really have a purpose anymore. So they talked about possible purposes for the crane, actually making it into a crane where it can, possibly lift some heavy objects or bigger objects. I'll give you an example like the shuttles right now. You can't really walk and move them around. Maybe the crane facilitates something like that. That's some of the ideas that they're passing back and forth. All right, so that was mainly about it. There was a lot of stuff that they covered in that video. I highly recommend watching it if you have an hour spare. They talked about a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't cover in this recap, but I covered the most important things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope we're going to see the patch soon. If you haven't already, hit the like. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit that like button if you like the video and subscribe to our channel so you can stay on top of all of our latest video releases. I release content almost every day. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.